We all know the epic story of the Punic Wars, Rome versus Carthage, Hannibal crossing the Alps with elephants, Scipio Africanus turning the tables. It was a clash of titans that defined the ancient Mediterranean. But have you ever stopped to wonder, while Rome and Carthage were locked in this century-long struggle for supremacy, what was everyone else up to? The world is a big place, and history doesn't just happen in one spot. So today, let us pull back the camera and take a look at the rest of the world during the Punic Wars. Let's start right next door in Greece. The First Punic War kicked off in 64 BC. At this time, Greece wasn't the classical powerhouse of Socrates and Pericles anymore. Alexander the Great had come and gone, and his massive empire had fractured into several successor kingdoms, all ruled by his former generals. These are known as the Hellenistic kingdoms. The big players were the Ptolemaic kingdom in Egypt, the Seleucid Empire in the Middle East, and the Antigonid dynasty in Macedon, which is modern-day northern Greece. These kingdoms were constantly bickering and fighting amongst themselves for territory and influence, while Roman and Carthaginian fleets clashed in the seas around Sicily. The Ptolemies and Seleucids were fighting a series of conflicts called the Syrian Wars over control of valuable coastal regions. Think of it like a massive, multi-generational family feud, but with armies and navies. So, while Rome was just beginning its rise, these Greek-speaking kingdoms were the established superpowers of the Eastern Mediterranean, busy with their own intricate power struggles. They probably saw the Punic Wars as a messy squabble between two up-and-coming Western powers, not realizing one of them would eventually conquer them all. Now, let's journey further east to India. The time of the Punic Wars coincides with one of the most significant periods in Indian history, the Mauryan Empire, founded by Chandragupta Maurya. This empire was the first to unify almost the entire Indian subcontinent. By the time the First Punic War began, the empire was under the rule of its most famous emperor, Ashoka the Great. Initially, Ashoka was a fierce conqueror, much like the Roman generals of his time. But after a brutal war in Kalinga, he had a profound change of heart. He converted to Buddhism and dedicated the rest of his reign to promoting peace, morality, and nonviolence. He sent Buddhist missionaries as far as Greece and Egypt. It's a fascinating contrast. While Rome was expanding through military conquest, the most powerful ruler in India was trying to build an empire of peace and righteousness, while Roman legions were learning how to defeat war elephants. Ashoka was carving edicts on pillars about protecting animals. It's a completely different approach to power. Okay, let's head even further east to China. This period was an absolute game-changer for Chinese history. For centuries, China had been divided into multiple states, all fighting each other in what's known as the Warring States period. It was a time of chaos but also incredible intellectual innovation, with philosophies like Confucianism and Taoism emerging. But right in the middle of the Punic Wars, all that changed. While Hannibal was preparing his legendary trek across the Alps for the Second Punic War, a ruler named Qin Shi Huang was doing something equally monumental. He conquered all the rival states and, into 21 BC, unified China for the first time, declaring himself the first emperor of the Qin dynasty. He standardized weights, measures, currency, and even the writing system. And yes, he is the one who started the major construction of what we now know as the Great Wall of China. So, at the exact same time Rome was fighting for its survival against Hannibal, a new, unified, and incredibly powerful empire was being forged on the other side of the world. So what's the big takeaway here? It's easy to get tunnel vision when we study history, focusing only on one famous event. But the world is always moving, always changing, everywhere at once. The Punic Wars weren't happening in a vacuum. While Rome and Carthage battled for control of the Mediterranean, the Hellenistic kingdoms were locked in their own power games. The Mauryan Empire in India was pioneering a new kind of rule based on peace, and China was being unified into a colossal empire. It just goes to show that history is a rich, complex tapestry, and every thread is connected. Thanks for joining me on this journey around the ancient world. If you enjoyed this wider perspective on history, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more. Let me know in the comments what other historical events you'd like to see in a global context. See you next time.